You ever ask someone a completely normal question like, "What do you want for dinner?" And instead of answering, they just stop. They stare at the wall. They breathe out. They look like they're negotiating peace between nations. And you're standing there thinking, did I just activate something? Yeah. That's not indecision. That's deep thinking. And psychology says this isn't just about being smart. It's not about IQ. It's not even about intelligence in the way we usually define it. Deep thinking is a wiring pattern. A way the brain processes information, emotion, and meaning. And here's the part most people get wrong. Not all deep thinkers are the same. In fact, psychology shows there are 3 very different types. They think deeply for different reasons, in different ways, and at very different costs. And once you recognize them, you'll never unsee them again. Let's start with the quietest one in the room. The silent observer. This person hasn't spoken in the last 45 minutes. But don't mistake that for emptiness. Their brain is loud. Busy. Hyperactive. While everyone else is talking, they're watching. They noticed the moment your posture changed when someone mentioned your ex. They saw the delay before your smile. They clocked the fake laugh. They noticed who interrupted who avoided eye contact, who suddenly got defensive. Psychologically, this comes from high-trait empathy mixed with pattern recognition. Their brain is constantly scanning micro-expressions, tone shifts, emotional inconsistencies. Think of them as human data collectors. They're not quiet because they're shy. They're quiet because they're processing. Speaking actually slows them down. Studies show that people like this often have heightened activity in brain regions associated with emotional decoding. Their nervous system is tuned to subtle signals most people miss entirely. And here's the irony. Because they don't speak much, people often assume they're disconnected. In reality, they're the most connected person in the room. But there's a downside. When you spend your life observing instead of expressing, you can start to feel invisible. Like you understand everyone, but no one really understands you. Now, if you think that sounds intense, wait until we talk about the next type. The overthinker's overthinker. This person doesn't just think deeply. They spiral. They sent you a text 3 days ago. You replied with, "Okay." And their brain has not rested since. Was it okay? Or okay? Or okay? Were you annoyed? Were you busy? Did they say something wrong? Did they ruin the friendship? Should they follow up? Or would that make it worse? Psychology calls this rumination. It's when the brain gets stuck in a loop, desperately seeking closure. Their mind wants resolution, certainty, meaning. The problem is, life doesn't always offer those. But try explaining that to a brain that activates at 3 a.m. Research shows that chronic overthinkers often have heightened activity in threat detection systems. Their mind treats uncertainty like danger. So it replays scenarios, rewinds conversations, and tries to predict every possible outcome. Not because they enjoy it. Because their brain thinks it's protecting them. But here's the twist. Overthinkers are often incredibly insightful. They notice patterns, emotional undercurrents, long-term consequences. The same mind that overanalyzes a text is also capable of deep empathy, creativity, and strategic thinking. The problem isn't depth. It's direction. Without boundaries, deep thinking turns inward and becomes exhausting. And if you think that goes far, there's one more type. The one that doesn't just analyze people or situations. They analyze reality itself. The existential wanderer. You ask them how their weekend was. 5 minutes later, you're discussing whether free will actually exists. They can't help it. Their brain doesn't do small talk. It does big talk. This is linked to something called the default mode network. It's a system in the brain that becomes active during introspection, imagination, creativity, and meaning-making. This network lights up when you're reflecting on the past, imagining the future, or questioning existence while standing in line at Starbucks. People with a highly active default mode network don't just think about what happened. They think about why it happened. What it means. How it fits into the bigger picture. They're the ones who lie awake asking questions like, why am I like this? Is this really what I want? What am I supposed to do with my life? And here's the thing. Society doesn't always know what to do with people like this. Because existential thinkers don't fit neatly into productivity culture. You can't measure deep reflection with output charts. But history tells a different story. Philosophers, artists, scientists, writers, innovators. Many of them weren't fast thinkers. They were deep ones. Now here's the uncomfortable part. Most people aren't just one type. They're a blend. You might be a silent observer in groups, an overthinker in relationships, and an existential wanderer alone at night. And that combination can feel heavy. Deep thinkers often feel like their mind doesn't have an off switch. Like they experience life at a higher resolution than everyone else. Which leads to a big misconception. People assume deep thinkers are anxious, socially awkward, or unhappy. But psychology suggests something more nuanced. Deep thinkers don't struggle because they think deeply. They struggle because the world is optimized for shallow processing. Fast replies. Quick decisions. Surface-level interactions. Depth doesn't always fit. But when directed properly, deep thinking becomes a superpower. Silent observers become incredible leaders and therapists. Overthinkers become strategists and creatives. Existential wanderers become philosophers, writers, and visionaries. The key isn't stopping your mind from thinking deeply. It's learning how to aim it. So here's the real question. Which one are you? The silent observer who sees everything. The overthinker who can't stop searching for meaning. Or the existential wanderer questioning reality itself. Or maybe you're already analyzing which category fits you best. If this video made you feel uncomfortably seen, congratulations. You're probably a deep thinker. And if you want more psychology that explains why your brain does what it does without making you feel broken, subscribe. Because understanding your mind doesn't make it quieter. It makes it lighter.